guys, welcome to Your Bossy Podcast. We are on season 4, episode 5, and for today's episode, it is titled Solo Hua Hin Thailand. It is going to be about all of my stays, experiences within that stays, overall experiences, and some tips for you if you plan to visit Hua Hin. If you don't know what season 4 is all about, season 4 is about my solo trip to Thailand, Project Finding Me. It was a trip to kind of work on myself, work on being in solitude and independent, and then also trying to find my passion and my purpose in life. I went to Thailand for about 6 months, and now we are nearing the end of the last city that I sort of explored and visited. I've already shared all of my experiences with the city Phuket, and then Chiang Mai, and then Bangkok, and then now we are in Hua Hin, which is kind of the other last city that I visited. At the end of this trip, I did go back to Chiang Mai, but I'll share all of that with you guys when we get to that, okay? Just like all the other episodes, there will be footages and photos from time to time, so keep an eye out for that. For the city of Hua Hin, I stayed there for about 3 weeks. The reason why I decided to go to Hua Hin was because in Bangkok already, which is the last city that I visited, I already figured out what I really wanted to do with my life and what my passion was already. And so then I decided that, you know what, I'm going to spend the rest of this time that I have left before my flight, just kind of treating it like a vacation. So then last minute, because I did plan to kind of stay the rest of my stay in Bangkok. However, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Hua Hin for the last 3 weeks, and I'm going to just enjoy myself in a beachy area. So that's why I went to Hua Hin. I stayed in Hua Hin from February 1st to February 22. The weather was nice for the most part, but there were some times when the weather was really bad for a few days, or that from like time to time there was really like rainy or like hurricanes kind of vibe, but for the most part it was really sunny and nice. I only had 2 stays here because it was really expensive. It is more towards like a luxurious, beachy kind of vibe. So it was pretty pricey. And I did kind of wanted to treat it like a vacation. So I did spend a little bit more during these stays. The first location that I stayed at was called Chalelarn Hotel. It was about $33 a day, and I stayed there for 2 weeks. The pool was very beautiful and the scenery was pretty decent. The sunsets were decent as well. It wasn't anything like luxurious, kind of like the marina, which is in the Phuket episode, but it wasn't too bad too where the sunset was like blocked off. So it was okay for the most part. The pool was really pretty where they had a section at the top and a section at the bottom, and the pool was on the rooftop. So the scenery was really beautiful. The design and layout was pretty nice. It wasn't too big of a pool, but it was decent enough where you could get really nice photos from there. Location wise, for the stay, there was a small night market right outside the hotel. There was only about like 5 booths there though. It's kind of like a local night market. It's not like a big night market or anything. It's just more for locals and people in the area that might want to grab like food right outside their door. So it wasn't too big. Next to this hotel was a Korean barbecue next door. I did eat about twice there because it was very convenient to grab like a bowl of protein, but it was a little bit pricey, but not too much for the bowls. I didn't do the Korean barbecue because it was pricey, but I did eat the Korean barbecue bowl, which was okay price. Next to this was a very convenient like boba tea shop, which they only sold their boba tea for like $1 or $2, and it was honestly really delicious. This place specifically served those really like sugary and watered kind of bubble teas. It's not like slushy or like mango or taro flavor flavored. It's more of like a soda and like a clear flavored drink type of deal. So there is different types of boba teas, but this place served like clear boba teas, which was really good. But I will say that, too much of it is not good too because it's mostly sugar. Next to this was a Chinese restaurant. They had so much to choose from. I didn't eat there much because it was pretty pricey, but it was pricey because they served such big portions. As like a solo traveler too, I just can't eat everything in one go, so it just wasn't for me. But I think that if you go with somebody else, this is a great place to eat. I did eat some pork boas from there and then some roast pork, I think it was. It kind of had the texture and the flavor kind of like roast duck, but I think it was pork. Across the street from this hotel was a 7-Eleven, so that was very convenient as well. Anywhere where there's like a 7-Eleven close by, honestly, that is not bad because you can find so much stuff at 7-Elevens, but there are some times when some 7-Elevens are not the best. This one was decent. You could find nice stuff there. This hotel was a 5-minute walk from the Hua Hin Night Market. The Hua Hin Night Market was not the biggest market. It was basically only 2 strips, and you had probably, I'd say, less than 50, okay? Maybe even less than 30. There wasn't that many vendors. There were vendors in the middle and then vendors on the side that were in buildings, but for the most part, that was really it. It's not a big market where you could spend hours there exploring. It's probably less than like 30 minutes. Unless you eat, then of course it will take longer, but there wasn't really too much to choose from. They did have knockoffs, jewelry, fruit stands, ice cream stands, and then on the sides were kind of where the food vendors were and some seafood vendors as well. From here, I did eat some pho and some fruits, but there wasn't really too much to choose from. The Chalelarn Hotel was only a 6-minute car ride from the Cicada market. Hua Hin really only had about 3 markets, really. This was the second one that I went to. It was very beautiful and very family oriented. I will say that it was really unique in its own way because I've never really seen this kind of method where you had to buy tickets in order to purchase food. It's never happened before and I've never seen it in all the other places that I've been to, but in this market, that is how they kind of run things. For some reason, you have to purchase tickets and then those tickets basically have cash value to it. And then you use those tickets as cash to pay the vendors if you want to buy food. I don't really know the logic between that. I don't know if like these vendors are like hired from other people or if these vendors rent out those places, because if the vendors rent out the places, it doesn't make sense for them to have to go through this ticket process when it's their booth. But I'm thinking that the reason why they have this ticket process is because these tickets, if you don't bring it back, let's say that you didn't use up all of your tickets and you don't bring it back, it expires within that same night. So then you won't be able to use it the next day or you won't be able to bring it back for some change. So I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe that's the logic because maybe they earn money like that, but I really couldn't think of any other reason why they would go through the hassle of having this process. So I found that to be very unique and different. But for the most part, this market was really beautiful. It was very family oriented, as I mentioned. And when I say family oriented, I mean like extreme family oriented, okay? There was like magic shows and puppet shows and fire shows and like bands and everything. And it felt like it was more for family. There were really like no extreme drinking and partying or like dancers there. It was really family oriented. I did watch the magic show, which was really like for kids. I didn't find it entertaining at all, of course, because I'm an adult, but I get it. If you're a kid and you see this, you will find it really entertaining. For me, it just wasn't. I also watched the fire show, which was just the bartender lighting up some bottles and doing some tricks and stuff. It was so funny because he was doing some tricks and then he accidentally dropped the bottle and, he played it cool. It was cool and everything. And he started to do the tricks again. And he was coming closer to me. And I was feeling a little bit nervous because he did drop the bottle. So I was scared that he was going to burn me and that I was going to light on fire or something. But everything was cool and I'm safe and I'm still here. So that's good. At this market, there was a lot of handmade items and souvenirs and jewelry that you could find. There wasn't a lot of merch, maybe only like 2 or 3 booths of merch, but for the most part there was a lot of like art and handmade things. From this market, I ate these Thai fried chicken with seasoned rice. It's a really simple dish, really. It's just like a fried piece of chicken with some seasoned rice and then some broth to go along with it. It's nothing fancy, but it was really delicious. I think Thai people call it khao mon gai tod. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but that is the spelling for it. So I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing it right. Maybe there isn't like too much accent in it when I say it, but that is it, okay? So the other night market, which is just right next to this market, the other market is called Tamarind Market. This market was super busy, you guys. Like, this is the second busiest market that I've ever been to. The first one was the one that I mentioned in the last episode called Jod Fair. That one was the busiest one where you're like touching people. This one was also very busy where there was like nowhere to sit to. You weren't touching people necessarily, like squishing by, but it was just so busy that you couldn't find a place to sit, you know? So it wasn't the best because of that. I feel like when you go to a night market and you can't really enjoy it by sitting down and eating the food that you're eating, then it's just a really like downfall to the market. But this market honestly had so many different types of food. There was so much to choose from at this market, and I found so many like unique and different types of food that I felt like I couldn't eat everything. They had my friend Namning's cream cheese dessert. I don't know if you know this, but my friend Namning, which is my Thai friend that I made in Phuket, she is kind of a baker or whatever, and she baked me these cream cheese buns. They were so delicious, and she even brought it to me when I was in Bangkok. She's just the sweetest. So I really loved it because it was something that I've never really had before, and I realized that, you know, people in Thailand make these things. So I found some of these cream cheese at this market, and I did buy one to try because I really missed my friend Namning's cream cheese buns. However, these did not taste the same as my friends, which was a disappointment, but it was, you know, better than nothing. I did eat some pork nam tok from this market as well. It wasn't as good as the one that I kind of probably got food poisoning from in the last episode, but it was good enough where it satisfied the cravings. This Chalelarn Hotel was about a 1-mile walk to the beach. If you wanted to ride like a tuk-tuk there, it was about 100 baht, which is pretty pricey because it's only like not even a 3-minute ride probably. So I did not do that. I did walk there. This beach was very beautiful for the most part. There wasn't really any bad water or bad sand about this beach. However, this beach did have very aggressive sellers where they had on the left side a whole bunch of vendors set up with their tents and food restaurants, things like that, where they kind of tried to sell to people a place to stay and eat and chill. They were aggressive to the point where they would force the menu on you and kind of force you to look at the menu, but you just keep on going with your day or keep walking through that. When you do stop to like peek at their menu, they do kind of force certain things on you and like, you know, say like eat this or eat that, and it does feel very uncomfortable. So my first experience of going to the beach, like I was not a fan and I just like left after. I didn't want to deal with them. I didn't want to be forced into anything, so I kind of just observed and then left. But I did dedicate one day to go to the beach and just eat in front of the beach and enjoy the environment and the sun. When I did go, of course, they were aggressive as usual, but I did find a booth where I was like, you know, I think they have what I want to eat. So I decided to order food there, and they sat me down at this table, and it was kind of towards the back, which I was like, no, I was dedicating that day to kind of relax and lay there and enjoy the whole day. So I told them that I wanted to move to where the bench was, where I could lay down if I wanted to. And they told me that it was an extra charge. I didn't know that this was a thing where they charge you extra if you want to lay down on their benches. And so then I was like, if you guys are going to charge me extra when I'm already buying food and paying to like eat here, then forget it. And then, they kind of were like, oh no, it's okay. Then, you can sit there. There's no worry. We won't charge you extra. And I was like, okay. So that was really interesting to me because I didn't know it was a thing. And honestly, if you have to pay for a bench when you're sitting there eating too, I just wasn't willing to like settle to pay extra to want to lay down after I eat. I do understand why they have that option because when it's super busy, I understand that they only have certain amount of benches and certain amount of chairs and tables. But for me, I was just thinking like, if I'm gonna buy and eat here already at your restaurant, how come I don't have the option to sit in the area that I want to sit at and I have to pay in order to sit there? Maybe it was my ego, or maybe it was just something that I wasn't used to, and so then I didn't understand their concept, but I wasn't willing to settle for that as well. So I did end up getting some stir-fried glass noodles with shrimp, and then I had a Thai salad and a mojito. The stir-fry was decent. It wasn't too bad. The Thai salad wasn't good at all. It was so plain. There was like no saltiness, no fishiness, or like no sourness to it or anything. It was like eating green papaya salad, just eating that, and there's like no seasoning or no flavor to it, so it wasn't even good. These foods and cocktail was pretty pricey too because it is in the beach area. I did go into the beach a little bit to kind of just get some footages, but for the most part I did kind of just lay there, eat, relax, and read my book and just journal. It was really nice to relax in that kind of way because this was kind of my intention for my travel in Hua Hin anyways. When you're sitting there or laying there, there are people that come around and try to sell things to you. There was this girl walking around where she was selling these like cover-ups when you wear like bikinis and stuff and you wrap it around you. She was selling it for like $6, and at that time I was like, it's okay, it's a little bit pricey. But when she walked off, I was thinking to myself like, it's actually very beautiful, and $6 is not a bad deal for the quality and how pretty it was, because I was kind of trying to look for those kind of cover-ups, but I couldn't find any at like the markets. And I was like, maybe it's not meant to be. So then I was like, forget it. But she did come back because I was there for that long. For some reason, she was kind of giving me a discount right off the bat. So I was like, like I will take it. And so I got it for a lot cheaper. I think it was maybe $4 now or $3. So I did take it, and it was honestly a steal because I couldn't find one like that in the other markets. So maybe it was destiny that, she left with such a high price and then she came back around and I got it for a steal. This beach did have a horseback riding opportunity where you could ride the horses along the side of the beach if you wanted to. They were about 400 to 500 baht. From my calculation, a minute was basically $1. I did do the horseback riding on Valentine's Day as a gift to myself, self-love or whatever. So I decided to book this and get the whole experience of riding a horse along the side of the beach. I did pay about $15 for like a 15 to 20 minute ride. I say 20 because I think he gave me like an extra 5 minutes. It was really beautiful. The scenery was really nice. Unfortunately, the sunset wasn't really like quite there, but the sky was still very beautiful where the scenery was still really nice. The owner of the horse was really nice, where he even like took photos and videos of me riding the horse as well. For the most part, I really enjoyed this, but the only thing that I didn't like was that because I was in like a bikini, my thighs were rubbing on like the saddle, and it was so painful where like I felt like I was getting burned or like a blister was about to happen, you know? Like the rubbing of that saddle and my inner thigh was just not it. It was so painful. Outside of Chalelarn Hotel, I did witness like a massage crime or scam. I don't know which one it is, okay? I don't know if it was a crime or a scam, but something did happen. I came back from the beach or shopping or something one day, and there was these officers next to this massage parlor that's next to the hotel. They were kind of talking to this foreigner. He was Caucasian, and they were kind of talking to him about what happened and whatever. I was kind of nosy, so I decided to sit in the lobby, which the lobby had windows open. So I was kind of eavesdropping to see what happened. And I couldn't quite hear too much, but for what I did hear, the foreigner did end up wiring some money. I don't know to who, but he did wire some money to somebody, and it ended up being about $3,000, okay? I remember calculating what I heard into the math, and I remember it being $3,000, and I was telling my partner about it, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's literally wired them $3,000 because he got caught, and I was like, oh, that's so creepy. The reason why it was creepy was because this person was staying at my hotel. Because after all of this incident happened, he walked into the lobby where I was at, and I tried to play it off like I didn't hear anything, I didn't see anything, and he was trying to play innocent or whatever. My assumption is that he went into this massage parlor thinking that it was those massage parlors, because this massage parlor is called Nutty's Massage, you guys, like Nutty's Massage. So, if you're like him and you're like, trying to, of course you're gonna be like, drawn to that, right? So I think that he was drawn to that, and then something must have happened where maybe the people were like, no, we're not that, and he did something inappropriate or something, and then the girls probably like called the cops on him, and then the cops came, and he didn't want to go to jail, and then the cops was just like, just pay up. So then he probably paid up, and that's why they allowed him to leave without him having to go to jail or anything. After this experience, I did feel like my hotel was full of like creeps, so I did feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I just did my usual thing, lock my doors, and just be very cautious when I went out at night. This room itself, however, the bed was the most comfortable bed I've ever slept in, like in my whole life, you guys. This bed felt so soft and comfortable. It was like I was like in the clouds and just floating there. It was so comfortable, and because there was really nothing to do too much in Hua Hin, I really just slept and laid in bed and just enjoyed my time in that bed. It felt almost like this bed in this moment was perfect for me to just relax and chill and just, catch up on some sleep and just not have to worry too much about things. I didn't have any bad energy or any bad dreams in this room either. I think that the only thing is that it started to kind of smell like burning fire, because Hua Hin is a little bit close to Chiang Mai, which is where all of the burning crop stuff happened. So a lot of that air was, I think, near Hua Hin, and so then I did feel a lot of that in the room, but that's about the only downfall that I had with this room. Location wise for this place, I think that it was the closest and most affordable hotel to these markets, but I will say that Hua Hin in general doesn't really have much to explore and look at anyways, so that's why like I spent so much time in that bed. My second destination, which was the priciest hotel that I ever stayed in, I believe. It was at Destination Resorts. It was $43 a day, and I stayed there for 1 week. It was really far from the markets that I mentioned at my last day and far from other food deliveries. Right down the driveway from this hotel was a 7-Eleven, restaurants, and massage parlors. The 7-Eleven was the best 7-Eleven that I've ever seen. It had everything, you guys. It had so much to it that I found things that I've never seen in any other 7-Elevens before. It was so organized too and beautiful and neat that I really enjoyed it. And I loved how this 7-Eleven was there and available because I went there so many times since this hotel was just so far from everywhere. I did eat at the restaurants down the driveway from the hotel quite often. So where the 7-Eleven massage parlors are, those are where the restaurants are. It's kind of like a strip of just all of that. And I did eat there quite often because that was the only access to food, really. There wasn't really much food to choose from. And like I said, food delivery didn't happen there because this hotel was really far from the city area. One time at one of these restaurants, I went to go order and it was so busy where I asked the lady like how long it was going to be, and she said that it was going to be quite some time, but she said that I could order and she could deliver it to my hotel if I was staying at the destination resort hotel. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, of course. And so then I placed my order and then she delivered it to me and we exchanged numbers so that when she arrived, she could message me. She had to get up the hill to my hotel and she was delivering food through her bike. So I'm not talking about motorcycle bike, okay? I'm talking about those bicycles where you pedal those bicycles. She rode that on top of the hill and she said that at one point she got so tired that she had to stop and get off it and like push the bike up the hill. And she was telling me about it when she delivered my food and she was laughing and I was laughing and I apologized for it and she was just like, no, it's okay. She was so out of breath and it was so funny. I didn't think about, how she was gonna ride the bike up there, but when she told me that, it was really funny. I visited a restaurant further down from like the main area of these restaurants, and there was this restaurant run by a family where there was a little kid working, and when I arrived he kind of greeted me and I was very shocked because he knew English very well and he had great customer service. Like knowing English, it can be common, but having great customer service in English, like that to me is another level. So seeing him the way that he was, it really caught my attention and I did go and eat there. When I ate there, he was very talkative and giving me some advice and kind of recommended some of his favorite dishes from their restaurant. We even got to the conversation about how he has a stepdad and how his mom remarried and how he's going to school and his favorite candy and everything. It was a really interesting encounter and it was really nice to see somebody so young in a different country be as driven as he was. I did only go eat there once because I didn't actually enjoy the seafood bowl that I got from there. Something about it was just a little bit fishy. I think I could have tried other things, but because this restaurant was further down as well, I didn't want to walk through like the dark areas in order to get there. And so I only ate there once, but it was a great experience. Along this strip of where all the restaurants are, there was this restaurant that was not as well put together as all of the other restaurants. Like this restaurant, you could tell that they were open for business, but they didn't have like any fancy signs, lights, or even chairs and tables like how all the other restaurants had them. And their menu was also in Thai, so it didn't draw a lot of foreigners. Even myself, like I don't know how to read Thai, so I can't obviously read their menu, and so I didn't go there as well. And because of the way that it was kind of set up, it kind of felt like sketchy. I didn't end up getting food from there because one, I didn't know how to read Thai, and two, if I bought something from there, I wasn't sure if I was going to get food poisoning, and being a solo traveler, I didn't want to take that risk as well. It really broke my heart to see that and to kind of see how they were different from everybody else and to just see them struggle like that. It was really sad for me. This destination resort didn't have a good food menu either. It had the basic things, and honestly, everything was really pricey there as well. At least $10 for a meal. For me, that is really pricey. Like, somebody on a budget. So I ate a lot more at the restaurants where it was only like $3 to $5 for an entree. They did have a breakfast menu as well, and the breakfast menu, I think it was a lot better than the dinner one, but it was really pricey again, where it was about maybe $11 for all you can eat in the morning. They did have a decent amount to choose from, but for the price that it was, I don't think that it was worth it. They had a section to like do your own noodles as well, which I thought was really nice, but that's about the only nice thing about that breakfast. The beach at this resort was a little dirty and deep. The waves were hitting the walls like crazy, so you couldn't even go into the water. There wasn't any like sand in the beach area for you to go and lay and enjoy the beach either. The hotel did have a really big and relaxing pool on the ground level. It wasn't active and like lit, but it was really relaxing and quiet most of the time. Throughout this resort, there was a lot of activities. This resort was really family oriented as well. They did have like a small movie theater, which I did go in there once, but they were playing, I think, Transformer, and it was like in Thai. So then I kind of just sat there to just experience the movie theater in that resort, but I didn't stay there long, and it was kind of giving me a creepy vibe, so I decided to leave. But it was really nice that they have that option there. The bar, for some reason, it was closed, so there was really no drinking inside the bar or like any pool tables set up in there. It was really dead. They did have a kids daycare play area where kids could go and play in that playroom, and I think there was like a whole bunch of like arcade stuff in there. There was an option to pay for this kind of walk in a bubble type of deal where you could walk in the bubble on the water, and then there was also an option for kids to rent a kind of like a motor jet handle where they could hold it and it could like, you know, paddle them through the water. This resort did have like a basketball court, I believe, or I'm not sure if it was even tennis as well, but it did have a basketball court where people could go play basketball in there. They had a skating court where you could rent out their skates and scooters to go and play on that court. They did have a ping pong table that you could play outside. They did have like an archery where you could go and play that as well. Sometimes at night they would play videos outside in the open area as like a night movie theater for you to go and enjoy movies out there too. Like I said, for the most part, this place was very family oriented, so everything kind of required activities with people majority of the time. There was a nice foam party where they hosted a foam party like 2 times a week. The foam party was really interesting. I've always wanted like a foam party, and this was my first experience having a foam party. It was really interesting the way that they made the foams. I saw them struggling to make the foams, but once they got it going, it wasn't too bad. There was a lot of foam in certain areas, and the way that it flew up into the sky made it very exciting and fun. Funny thing is, at one of the foam party, they were playing music to kind of, you know, get the vibe going and everything. And there was a whole bunch of kids and families around. And the music that they were playing, it was very upbeat, okay? But the music was, we want some pussy. And it was like I was recording myself, and I was like, wait, what? And it was so funny because there's like a whole bunch of like foreign kids around, you know, and these Thai people, like, oh my god, like I don't know if they even thought it through or like if they even knew, but you know, that music for a family oriented event, like I was just, you know, a little bit like, ooh, yeah. And I was just like looking around at people and like, do y'all hear this? But everybody was just, you know, playing it off too. Like none of the kids really pay attention to it too, I think. But yeah, that music was loud, and that music was playing in the background of my video too. Throughout all of the resort where, you know, all of these activities, or just even in the open areas where you hang out in the pool area, there was a lot of places to take photos. I felt like they purposely set up the way that they did so that you could take photos there. So I did end up dedicating one day to taking photos at all of these stations that felt like it was dedicated to just taking photos. This destination resort did have a decent gym with good enough equipments as well. It was nice where you could get the basic workouts in, so that was really nice. There was a balcony attached to my room, and the balcony was looking over the resort and beach, but the building was so far from the beach that you didn't really get like the beach view. It was just kind of the resort, and then the beach was kind of over there in the horizon kind of. So it was really far out, but the sunrise view was really beautiful. The room overall, it did feel creepy because the sliding door kept making a creepy noise. You know, like when the wind is creating this swishing noise that kind of sounds creepy? Well, that was happening because my sliding door was uneven. So then like the wind, since I was like facing towards the ocean side, there was so much wind that it kept hitting my sliding door, and through that crack or whatever, it kept creating that swishing noise. And throughout the night, it got worse and worse, and I would hear that noise, and it would just give me like very bad energy and like bad dreams too. So I didn't really get to relax and enjoy my stay there at night. At least because of this noise, I had a lot of trouble sleeping, and I would constantly wake up throughout the night. It really made me miss the last day where the bed was so comfortable that I slept majority of the time. But this one, I unfortunately didn't have peaceful sleep. Now I'm gonna go over my overall experiences in Hua Hin. To be honest, it was giving a lot of Cancun resort vibes, minus all of the all-you-can-eat food and alcohol. There wasn't really anything really too fancy about it. It was too quiet and not enough to explore for the amount of time that I was even there, you know, that 3 weeks. That was too much for this place. I think that if you want to go to Hua Hin, I think that even just 2 to 3 days is enough for you to explore Hua Hin. There was barely any restaurants for delivery at both of the stays, but it was especially harder at my second stay because it was so far from like the city area, I think. I couldn't even get deliveries throughout the day and night. Sometimes they would just not accept it, or they just would not be open or not be willing to come to that location. So I did a lot of 7-Eleven food and the restaurants down the hill. I really didn't find anything fancy about Hua Hin other than the horseback riding part. Everything else I felt like was something that you could get at any of the cities that I've already mentioned or anywhere in Thailand. I don't know if there's other horseback riding options in any other cities in Thailand, but this was the only thing that made Hua Hin unique that I haven't seen in like Phuket. Maybe in Pattaya you might be able to find horseback riding, but out of all the cities that I went to, Hua Hin was the only one that had the horseback riding at the beach. My overall favorite food, I did have a lobster down the driveway from Destinations Resort where all the restaurants were. I also enjoyed the fruit smoothie and fudge cake from 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven has this fruit smoothie with yogurt that is just really delicious. I think there's a lot of sugar and stuff in there, but it was really bomb. And you know, just for like resort vibes and like hot weather, it was so bomb. And then the fudge cake too, it was like where they heated it up for you too. That was delicious too. And then for the last food that I enjoyed in Hua Hin was the Thai fried chicken with seasoned rice, also known as the khao man gai thot, from the Cicada market. I really enjoyed this meal, even though it was very simple. It's very delicious, and from time to time I did have a craving for this dish. My overall rating for my experiences in Hua Hin, I would say that it's a 7 out of 10. It wasn't the worst experience, but it also wasn't the best. I really had high hopes for this to kind of, you know, finish off my travel strong and finish off with feeling so content about myself, but honestly, it was a little bit of a disappointment with all of my experiences in Hua Hin. I didn't expect it to be as dead and quiet as it was, but I get it now why older people recommend Hua Hin, because it's quiet and it is giving a lot of retirement and like resort family oriented energy. So it's a 7 out of 10 for me. My tips for you, I only have 3 for you since, there wasn't really much to it. Number 1, do not book the city if you are looking to explore. There is nothing unique to explore. Number 2, do not go to Thailand to just go to Hua Hin, because I feel like you can save your money and visit places in Cancun and get the same energy or even more, because at least in Cancun, you get all you can eat and then all you can drink alcohol too. Number 3, if you want a quiet place to be or something family oriented and you're in Thailand, then Hua Hin is for you, because it is very family oriented and quiet enough where you don't see a lot of inappropriate things like, walking through the Banglan Road and then seeing go-go dancers and seeing massage parlors where girls are sitting out there in very showy clothes where, sometimes some people just don't think it's appropriate for kids. So you don't see any of these kind of things in Hua Hin. I'm not going to close off yet, but I do want to close off my message to you for my experience in Hua Hin. My message to you is it's okay to want to share moments of your life with others. And just because you want these things doesn't mean that you can't be in solitude. For me personally, I have proven to myself that I am capable of being in solitude. I did 95% of the things that I did in Thailand by myself. I really overcame the feeling of always wanting to do everything with people. Just because I think about, if it will be great if I do this and that with somebody, it doesn't mean that I can't be alone. It's okay to want to share experiences or moments with other people in your life. Hua Hin really taught me this because as I watched people enjoy certain things with certain people in the resorts, it really made me think about if I had my partner here or if I had my family here, that I would be able to enjoy these kind of things with them, and that would make it an even better experience. Throughout my whole trip, I really worked on being in solitude and learning to be okay, but it doesn't mean that I always have to be that way or that it always has to be that way. I can want to enjoy or share certain things with people because, you can't play ping pong by yourself. You can't play volleyball by yourself. It's okay to want to share moments and experiences with other people as well. Now, I'm not going to close off this episode just yet because I want to share the rest of my trip with you guys, and I want to close off with the ending of my trip. So after my stays in Hua Hin, I did book a 2-day trip to Chiang Mai where I could go and shop and explore the night markets one last time. The reason for that is because the flight from Hua Hin to Bangkok, which is where my main flight was going to be at, the flight had to make a stop in Chiang Mai anyways. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay in Chiang Mai for 2 days and 1 night and just explore there and then make my way to Bangkok. When I arrived in Chiang Mai, I did the shoppings at the Hmong markets and the night markets. I got my nails done, and let me tell you guys, it was one of the worst experiences ever too. The reason for that is because for some reason that night there was a lot of termite flies, I think is what they're called. They were just everywhere. And I did get my nails done at one of the night markets. So it was outside where all of these bugs were. And it was so bad where, there was these bugs and then there was also mosquitoes. So wherever the lights were was where all of the bugs were attracted to. When you're getting your nails done, you have to sit still. And if you're not sitting still, of course, nail polish is going to get everywhere. So you kind of have to just let the bugs land on you and just take it. At one point, I was really bothered by the bugs, but I think that because I saw how slow it really caused us to get the nails going, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to bear the bugs on me. At one point, now I had my hair tied up, okay? At one point, 2 of them were crawling behind the back of my neck into my hair. And if you've ever had like anything in your hair, not even when your hair is tied up, okay, something just getting like lost in your hair, that is just, oh my God, it just like, it gives me like shivers because it's so creepy and like, but that happened where the bugs were in my hair crawling in the back, and I was just fearing the pain of the back, shivering of like how creepy it is. But I was like, I'm gonna get this nail done and then I'll grab it after. But one of them bit me. And so then I was like, you know what? I can't do it no more. And then I told her to stop. And then I told her to grab it from my hair and get the bug out. And she was helping me. And yeah, it was not fun, you guys. It was such a traumatic experience that next time if I see these bugs and I'm trying to get my nails done at a night market, I'm not doing it because it was not worth it, and I got bit too. Luckily, the bite didn't cause like a lot of trouble for me. So yeah, don't do it if there's a lot of bugs out. I did eat the famous curry that I really enjoyed in the morning market again. And then I did eat the corn salad again. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and look at the Chiang Mai episode because these two were my favorite dishes in Chiang Mai. After these 2 days in Chiang Mai, I did fly back to Bangkok where I arrived in the morning. It was a Friday morning. And then I got my hair done at one of the salon located in the street mall. That is what it's called, the street. And so I got my hair done at one of the booths in there. My experience in there wasn't too good also because I had an appointment at like 10 and I think the people were late too. And then I had to wait for them, which was very inconvenient for me. And, I felt like they didn't value my time. They eventually did get things going. They had so many people doing my hair that it was really hard to keep track. They had one lady out of the many people that touched my hair. She was so rough with her hands, like even combing or washing my hair, that like my neck was literally like throbbing back every single time she was combing or touching my hair. It was so uncomfortable, and like to me, that's just like one of my pet peeves when I get my hair done is that they're not gentle. So I didn't enjoy that at all. Some pieces of my head did turn out orange, but when I flipped it, then it was actually very beautiful. So I ended up just flipping it the way that I don't usually part it, and it looked actually very beautiful. So I just kind of kept it like that. But the way that it was supposed to be, that area was really orange. This hair was about $200, so it wasn't like a steal. It was still kind of pricey, and it is one of those higher end salons as well, so that's why it was that price. So after I got my hair done, then I went to the market outside of the street mall, and I just kind of sat there, enjoyed the environment, and then I went to the train night market. I did have one of my luggage with me, so I had to carry my luggage and I had to carry my backpack with me everywhere. I brought my backpack and my luggage to the train night market, which was probably about 5-minute walk from this area. During all of this, I was waiting for my cousin Ma and Pitam to get off work, I believe, and then come and pick me up, because then I was going to go to their house, grab my other luggage because they had my other luggage. I had 2 luggages because my flight did allow 2 luggages. So then I did leave one with them before I went to Hua Hin, and then I came back, and then I was going to go to their place to go pick it up and kind of declutter and repack. So then they ended up picking me up that night from the train night market. I went to their house. I spent about 3 hours, you guys, just going through all of my stuff, deciding what I wanted to throw away and what I wanted to keep. It was such a mess, and I did that for like so long, and I honestly didn't even have room to spend time with my cousins because I was so busy deciding, and I couldn't decide on giving up some of the stuff. So it was really hard, and I was like measuring to make sure that I wasn't above the limit for my luggage. After I did all that and it was time to go home, my cousin Ma and Pitam drove me to the airport, and they walked me all the way to my gate. I am so thankful for them for being so willing to do all of this for me, because without them, I would have, had nowhere to leave my second luggage. I would have had to carry that with me everywhere. I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of things that I did find the opportunity to do because they held my luggage and because they picked me up and everything. So I am forever grateful for them. Now, I want to talk about my flights, you guys. My flight and my experiences traveling back home. It was the worst experiences ever. I had a flight from Thailand to Japan, which was maybe about 6 hours maybe. And by the time I arrived there, it was like 6 a.m. in the morning. I had this idea where I was gonna not carry a lot of stuff in my backpack and I was going to go out of Japan's airport and then explore Japan and then come back, right? But for some reason, I don't know what it is, but my ticket showed that I was waiting in the airport. So they kind of directed me to my gate. I'm not sure if they would have allowed me to go out, but I really didn't want to argue or fight or risk it. So I kind of just was like, I'm just going to stay here in the terminal and just go and sit at my gate. So then I ended up not even going out. The wait for my next flight was actually quite long because it wasn't even until 5 p.m. So from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., I stayed in the Japan airport. I didn't even have food or any money or Japanese currency to really buy anything. I did not prepare well because, I had the intention of going out of Japan. But then I didn't think about if I wasn't going to go out, what I was going to do and, what kind of food I had. There was one convenient store inside of there, but the line was so long, you guys. It was so long that honestly, the wait would have been forever. And they didn't even have much to choose from other than snacks only. I didn't even know where I was going to go exchange currencies. So I decided to just not even deal with that, not even deal with the line. And luckily that flight that I had to get to Japan, I decided to grab the bread that was given in that flight. And I had that bread to eat during this waiting time. I finally got to eat when we did board the airplane. About an hour later, they did deliver food. So I was able to eat in there. But it really sucked that I only had a piece of bread and I didn't bring enough snacks to eat during my wait. It was because I was too busy packing, too busy trying to get all these hair appointments in that I didn't think about this process. My flight from Japan was to LA, California. When I arrived there, it was about 11 a.m. in the morning. I thought that I was going to be able to check in my luggages into the airport when I got to LA. I knew that I had to grab them from, the flight from Thailand to LA, but I thought that I was going to be able to check them in when I got to LA. However, my flight wasn't until 8 p.m. and they said that I couldn't check it in until 2 hours before the flight. So I did not plan for that as well. I had this thought that I was going to be able to check in my luggages and then I was going to be able to Uber around LA and then just come back when my flight is here. However, now I was stuck with 2 big luggages and my backpack. I didn't want to rent a car because I would have needed a big car to kind of hide my big luggages in the back trunk, which that would have just been expensive. Didn't want to Uber because I'm not going to carry 2 big luggages around with me and explore LA or find food in LA. So I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go find my gate and I'm just going to wait. So I left the terminal where I picked up my luggages and I went to go find my gate. My gate was so far, you guys. It was so far that it was so secluded from everything. And the main area, when I got to the terminal, there was nothing there, you guys. There was nothing there for me. They only had a Starbucks or Caribou. That was the only thing that I ate and had. I didn't want to carry my luggages back to the main area where all of the food was because it was quite a push. There was really nowhere to sit or hang out at comfortably because this is before you check in as well. So, those areas are usually really bad where it's just a little bench there. And in Cali on that day, it was just super, super cold and rainy. So the weather was not even in my favor too, you guys. I didn't sit at the benches that were there because they were by the entrance and it was so cold. I had to layer up 2 pieces of bottoms and 3 pieces of top with my one sweater that I had because that's how cold it was. And then I wasn't even like prepared, for like winter or anything because I was in Thailand. So with what I had, I made do. Finally, I was able to check in my luggages and get to my gate. By this time, it was already nighttime, like 8 or 7 p.m. And then finally getting to my gate, thankfully, there was a Burger King that was open and I was able to grab dinner before I flew, which was really nice because I didn't eat anything other than that burrito the whole day. I finally arrived in Minnesota at 6 a.m. on February 26th and I made it home safely. My overall experiences with my travel back was not a great finish to my trip, but it was a great lesson learned, and I hope that you learned something from this as well. I was not thinking all of this through to finish my trip strong. I really just kind of winged it, and that was a fail on my part, but it does not take away all of the moments for the 6 months that I was in Thailand. That is about everything I have to share with you guys with all of my stays, experiences within the stays, overall experiences, and tips for you guys for these cities in my trip to Thailand. I went over Phuket, Chiang Mai, Bangkok, and Hua Hin. I hope that you got to experience all of these cities through me and that you got to see all of the things that I saw or even enjoy all of the things that I enjoyed as well. I hope that this encourages you and brings awareness into areas that you might have been struggling with. It is not the end of my experiences within my trip. I still have many more things to talk about. I hope to see you in the next episode as we continue this journey on Solo Thailand Project Finding Me. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week, and as always, stay being the bad boss that you are. Bye!